old to the new, the new to the 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 old to the old to the new, the new to the old to the new, the new to the old to the new, the new to the old to the new, the new.
Alright, we'll get started in just a moment here. We're doing Oddworld New and Tasty Corruptions with CheatEngine 6.7. I thought it was gonna die there suddenly. I have this YouTube problem where every once in a while the player will crash if I try adjusting the volume. So I have to leave it there for... It's gonna cut in here. There we go. If I try adjusting the volume very slowly, it crashes the player. So that's a problem. I still have to grab ice for my water. Let's do this. We'll just lower that down a little bit here. Leave everything up though. So we're going to be doing also the music's from Too Mellow, tribute to old Jet Set Radio, Memories of Tokyoto. So we're going to be doing CheatEngine, which I usually don't explain a lot in depth like I do for the Real-Time Corruptor or the Windows Glitch Harvester or anything like that. Most of the values I'm getting are from corrupt.wiki, which is the sort of hub for corruptions, which I recommend checking out if you haven't already. Which are just common values in hexadecimal that produce pretty good corruptions. And I've tested it out a little bit so far with New and Tasty, and I've got some good corruptions. So I was excited to do it on stream. And real quick, I'm just going to adjust one of these windows. The chat box there. There we go. Alright, so for corrupting, this is a little processor intensive for me. because I'm on a laptop, so I have to deal with it. So anytime that we are going to apply a corruption, anytime we send some hexadecimal values to the game, in the sense, I was going to say emulation, but it's not even emulation. Anytime we write memory with the hexadecimal value, I have to minimize the game so you'll see it freeze for a second, and then once I've sent that hexadecimal value, we'll load the game back up, or essentially unpause it for a moment, and we'll see the corruption sort of live as soon as we pull the game back up. Luckily, when you do minimize the task, it does suspend it, so it's not too intensive once I actually access CheatEngine and I start messing around the values, so that will at least be a good thing. One downside of that is, I'll do a little bit of explaining for CheatEngine. If you type in, say, a hexadecimal value, like we're going to start off, one of our first values is this one here. And say right now the game's running in the background, I do a scan for that hexadecimal value, and we find 16,499 results with that matching hexadecimal value somewhere in memory. If we run a next scan, well, actually that worked great. I was going to say, since the task is suspended, those values aren't going to change, and what you want is consistent hexadecimal value over time. So I always want to see this 3C0000, and I don't want that to change. I only want to see that, how would I phrase this, like maybe after 2 minutes I still want that value to exist before I try adjusting it. So now if I hit next scan again, we had 990, now we're at 932 items found. So these are probably the items that I want to change the values of. They're not as volatile in that sense. Alright, I'm gonna go pause the music there, or actually just go into the last song. Cool, I think we're ready to go. So I had just a test file, which I'm actually loading up now. It's just right in the beginning. I don't even believe I made a save, but we'll see if we did. And the audio should be alright, I believe. I should double check that though. I don't actually have a way of checking that. We're gonna turn it up. Usually with corruptions we get a little bit of screechiness. Pogi, I was here. What's going on? Not good. Good to see you, man. With corruptions, we sometimes get some screamers, some awful screeching corruptions that really hurt the ear. I have a limiter on the screen, or on the stream, so you won't hear it as much on your guys' end, along with the compressor. I'll hear it in full volume on my end, so don't worry. I'm still getting the awful volume for me, but it won't be as loud for you guys. So we're going to hopefully continue. We might just be at one of the first checkpoints. If you played Abe's Odyssey, it's like right after you learned how to walk. Yeah, it's right where you get to this first sleeping guy. So, and this is actually where I'd like to begin corrupting. I wanted to go through the intro, so let's do that, I guess. Or should we? We can do that after the fact. So I'd like to corrupt the intro cinematic. At the moment, we don't really need to. We can just stick around here. And let's start actually just throwing in some values. So I'm going to minimize the game here. And we're still going to search for the same hexadecimal value, but since we actually loaded into the game, a lot of the addresses that we had this value located at previously may not be the same. So we're actually going to do a new scan for it, and first scan, and we're going to let it run for a couple seconds. Next scan, next scan. I hope can I disable that little notification sound? I hope I can. I don't think I can. You're going to hear that a lot otherwise. Not anything I'm seeing immediately. That's unfortunate. Oh, so you hear a little bit of window sounds every once in a while. Hopefully that's not too bad. Anyways, so we have 1,201 values. I'm gonna select, actually we'll select all of them. Throw them down here. This is our sort of editing window, or where we're gonna start changing the values. I'm gonna enter on here, which this window should be showing up for you guys, but it's not. Let me make sure I'm capturing it properly. Not quite soon. This kind of weird transparency effect on screen. You're not actually seeing it, so that's alright. What we're adjusting these values is about by, say, ranges of 10, 100, 1,000. And I'm just going to go ahead and adjust it just to start off by 100. So you can kind of see in hexadecimal. I say 100, but it's, what is that? What is it? 15 to the third power or 16 to the third power. I don't know my base 16 or the hexadecimal values, but we're just, editing this value from 3C 000 to 100 at the end. And now if we load the game again, we'll see if there's any corruption immediately on screen. I'm not seeing anything. With some of these initial values, I didn't notice anything, but I just want to be sure. As a check. Let's go and bring this back down again. We can also adjust as more drastic changes. So right now this is 3C. We can change it to 3D, which is a much more dramatic change. And again, we're not really seeing anything on screen. So let's go back to CheatEngine. We can restore these values. I don't believe we can do that automatically. I just remember kind of what the value was. So it's 3C, all zeros. And that way we don't mess with the value later on. And now we can kick those out of our queue. Forgot to suspend the task. Let me do that real quick. There we go. And let's search for another hexadecimal value. This one I had a little more luck with earlier. It's got 4,000 results. Consistently. Alright, let's select about half of these and throw them down. And you just want to start with small changes. You don't want to right away break the game, because then you have to relaunch it through Steam or however you're loading the game. And this is just a small adjustment.
Everybody.
Again, not anything too immediately apparent. Let's move on. It's a lot of little finicking here or there for the CheatEngine corruptions, but the results can be nice because you can do PC games. You can also do that with the Windows Glitch Harvester, but you need access to the data files in one sense or another. I couldn't find a very easy way to access this game's data files. If anything, it would just be the levels specifically, and I didn't know if corrupting those would produce results, and I didn't want to bother testing it too much, so I went with CheatEngine instead. So this one actually gave us a white screen, which is interesting. Let's dial it back a notch, so we got something there. I gotta keep remembering to suspend the task. So it's 3F right now, we're gonna knock it back to 3E. Let's try adjusting this to 9. And I'd really like to show up on screen. Let me try that again, just to make sure. Yeah, the way OBS captures it isn't ideal. Let me try removing the window and just adding it back in. Window capture. Change value. There it is. Really tiny there. And for this guy, we're going to move it and kind of just throw it in the center anytime we make a big change. This one should be, actually it has to be down here unfortunately. Can't cover the game. Alright. And we have a white screen on the game, so we're going to adjust that. This one's just a minuscule change. Something wrong there. Change value, window title must match. Okay, there we go. Back in the game.
Follow me. Follow me.
Nothing there. I don't think there's sort of a brighter effect on the screen, like some more lights at the top left. I don't think that's a corruption though. If it is, it's a very minor one. To adjust this some more, we're gonna go from 9 to F. Load that back. Yeah, actually, you know what? It was, because look how bright it is now. So that's affecting some kind of light effect, and I guess... Wow, look at that. How bright the lights are. That's kind of cool to see. Let's see what else we can do here. So we can adjust just that even further. That's why we saw the really bright light at the very, when we first started messing around with this value. I think it was, we saw a completely white screen, and that was just this taken to the max. Now we can do, what was that originally set to? 3E8. We can do a really small value. So we can try to make it really dim. However, you see the results of that almost instantly. It's all black. We can try... I want to get just a small dim effect. There we go. Now we have a really dark Oddworld. So you can see with random values like this, some hexadecimal values, you can adjust various things. In this case, we're adjusting just the lighting, at least of this level. And that's kind of cool to see. If you were like me and you think Oddworld New and Tasty is just a little too bright, you can make it a little bit darker. Still too plushy, but nonetheless, it's still nice. I'm not compressing, I'm not progressing any further in this. I'm just sticking around this area for the time being. Alright, so we're going to return this back to its original value. Once again, this capture window is doing the oddest thing. You can see a little bit of my background there. I think that's all you're ever going to really see. And a little bit of the Twitch window, I think, at the top left there. OBS does this odd thing sometimes where if you're capturing a window and it frequently pops up and goes down again and whatnot, it will sometimes reduce some of the window down to just transparency, so you can see through the window. I'm not sure why that's a thing, but there you are. Anyway, we're going to bring it back to 3E8. That's all the initial values once again. Let's take the other half of this 50%. So delete all these addresses, and we're going to take the other half of this, like 4,000 here, and throw them down. And we're going to just adjust this by 100. And I'll see an effect there. Sometimes I don't need to suspend the task. I can just kind of leave it running. So we're going to do that now, and we can hopefully see some results in real time. Might not be the case though. Might be having an effect on the camera. I think it's a little too subtle for me to tell. About 4F. Oh, that's a little too violent. Alright, instead of 4F, how about 4-0? And we're spinning around, it looks like. Or we have just that Oddworld advertisement where it's stuck on the beer. Initial value is 3F, I believe. That's not returning. Oh, yeah, there's the spinning. Interesting, so maybe we're affecting spin speed of sorts? Let's try that. Yeah, so we were having some kind of camera effect. I noticed it was kind of jarring a little bit too much in one direction. Okay. Very subtle change. It keeps wanting to jump off the edge. Let's go a little bit further. Okay, so we're breaking that boundary a little bit. Even further, I want it to snap around. Even further. There it is. So now it's kind of slingshotting around, and as soon as I move, I think this all returns back to normal. TechSupport, do you think Deep Space Nine would have been able to survive an attack from the Borg? Please discuss. Oh, I don't think I'll be able to discuss it all. You know, you're gonna hate me for this because I know you're a Deep Space Nine fan. I have not finished Deep Space Nine. I think I've got... How far have I got into it? I would have to look at their schedule. But, you know who's going to be answer that question? Oh, I know, the facepalm, the facepalm. The time, I need the time. You know, that is my summer plan. I'm going to put that down in my, like, notepad of things to do. It's watch Deep Space Nine. And also rewatch The Next Generation once again. Oh, Brisby's the Deep Space Nine fan. That's right, I remember that, okay. Which one are you then? He likes the space opera. Which is what I deem Deep Space Nine. Very lovingly. You have been summoned? That was like that! How'd you even do that? That was on top. Good job, Brisby. Also, welcome to the stream, you guys. We're doing a little bit of new and tasty. I feel bad. I'm awful at Star Trek trivia. I think Wasabi's a little bit better than me at it. He's also watched it a lot more than I have. Yeah. We're doing some CheatEngine, which is outside my norm. Usually I do real-time corruptor or the glitch harvester, but CheatEngine is, you know, a little, how would I phrase, it's not even lower level, it's like just a new way to corrupt. And this one, we're just affecting camera spins right now. Slingshotting the camera around in circles. A little bit of boundary break, ooh, a little bit of fractal kind of effects there too. But I think that's about all we can mess with this memory domain. It's going to switch it back to its original state. It is that. And let's kick these out of the queue and load our next hexadecimal value. Scan it a couple times. With a scan, I do need to suspend the game temporarily. So let's do that. We found a lot of values. We found 2 million. I was really hoping some of that would be reduced, but no, it doesn't look like it is. We'll give it a couple runs. I'll even move around in the game a little bit, just to see if we can affect that number. We want just stagnant numbers. No, it's still about 2 million. All right. Well, let's take a small fraction of this and throw it down into our queue. Even that, I think, was too many. CheatEngine's not responding. Okay, I'll cut the amount I just took down a bit. We might even need to move on to a different hexadecimal value. Nope, that's a no-go. I'm gonna have to restart CheatEngine here. Luckily, it's only hooked on the system process for Oddworld New and Tasty. It's not actually being used to emulate in any sense of the word. It's sort of just taken apart from it, detached, if you will. Okay, I'm reloading CheatEngine here and resetting the system process to New and Tasty. And we're gonna search for another hexadecimal value. We'll save this one for a little bit later. I'll make a notation on it. Save for later. Along with the cinematic, we'll do it a bit as well. But we're gonna move on to the 4 range, which we have 25,000. That's more reasonable. It's still kind of a lot, but we can break it down in sections. So let's do about a quarter of it. Okay. And we're gonna have New and Tasty out. While we're editing these values, it will look suspended, but if there are any immediate changes to the assets, to the graphics, or anything like that, we'll see it almost instantly, and then we can also switch to gameplay and let it run. We're going to do a small change of 1,000. Make sure everything works all right. Actually, no, it doesn't. It actually... Did it freeze it? Did it break it? Let's see if we can return that value. Nope, close program. No. Alright. First crash of the evening. Unluckily, it's a Steam game, so it takes a little bit of time to start back up. We can't have save states, so we can't jump straight to it. That's why I don't usually do PC games, but I really wanted to do a bit of Oddworld. One of my favorite series. Don't know how I feel about New and Tasty, though. I have opinions about it.
Okay. Follow me.
Opinions that I think the rest of the community may agree on. Alright, as you can tell in CheatEngine, a lot of our values have just changed because the source address is no longer the value that's being loaded, or it's a different value, or stuff like that. Do we want to see the cinematic? No, we're gonna skip it. Also, we won't be able to corrupt it with CheatEngine, unfortunately. Because I just realized that we can't do save states, so we can't reload it, so it would only be a very temporary change. But anyways, we're assisting Abe, who's trying to escape the factory because they just realized they're gonna make meat out of him. The game, I've lowered the settings considerably. It does look kind of bad. I can agree with that. The reasoning for that is because we're switching between idle task and normal gameplay. Switching that constantly can kind of draw performance decreases on streams. Is, I guess, the only way I'm going to put that. Yeah, I'm just getting back to the point where we were before. Actually, probably shouldn't keep getting to the same point just in case we keep crashing it. But there we go. I'd also like to turn off the electricity so it isn't constantly kind of in our ear. So we'll give that a go as well. Just a little bit of snoring. If you're tired like I am, then that can help you sleep later. Alright, there we go. Minimize the system process, and should we still do this range of values? I'd like a smaller range, so I'm going to move forward. I'm also going to say save for later in my little handy-dandy notebook here. But the problem with this one is leads to crashes, or at least the first batch of it did. So we'll note that as well, and we'll try a new hexadecimal value. We have a good number of them here, so we don't have to worry about running out. This is on the proper process, yep. Okay, 3,000 values, that's a much more manageable size. I'm gonna hit next scan a couple times just because I noticed some values changed after the fact on our previous crash, which I want to avoid if I can. And we're just gonna take all 3,000 and throw them on our queue and adjust everything by 100. Did that have an effect? I can't tell. Let's try bringing it up by 1,000. That had almost a crashing effect. Can we restore it in time? Let's see. That did crash. Shoot. It's not responding, so can we save it? Probably not. Unfortunately. I should take smaller batches of these numbers. I wanted to just take all 3,000 so we can just knock it out. Do I have any red values? We do. They've changed since then. Well, we have to restart. Which is going to be rather frequent this stream. So if you're looking for a quick corruption stream, this is not the one. Luckily, I got all night long. Alright. We did start a new game, so that's where my problem was there.
Hello.
I gotta be sure not to do that too much.
Here we go. Follow me.
Okay, much better. We're actually right where we need to be, so that's perfect. New scan, first scan. No readable memory. Need to attach the system process. Don't keep the code list. First scan. Next scan. We're gonna take a small fraction of this. Since this led to a crash, I'm curious. Let's try something outside of the 4 range. So we'll return these values to the original. We will... Oh. Kick them out of our queue. Yeah, a lot of changes there. You see all these red values? Those are ones that changed because we didn't do a next scan. Always good to do that. I almost want to run it again, but I don't want to crash for a 3rd time in a row. Let's move on. Again, we're going to say save for later. I think this one is less crashy though. Alright, we're going to get out of the 4 range. We're going to go to the B range, which is here. New scan, first scan, next scan. Okay. we have a lot less values, 282 of these. We're going to adjust them all by... I'm going to keep saying 100, even though I know it's an hexadecimal, so it isn't exactly 100. No corruption to be seen there. Let's try adjusting it drastically. Instead of 100, we're going to go to BD. It doesn't look like anything there as well. We can try just one more change, make this F. And everything looks normal. Alright, so nothing there. Let's try BD. New scan, first scan. Suspend system process. Next scan. Throw all these values down. Adjust them all by 1,000. Run the game. No changes. May not have his luck in this range. Let's try BE. Change it to B9. Yeah, that sounds so many times. I should have disabled my Windows sounds. No luck there either, unfortunately. So we may have most of our luck down in the 3C to 3F range. But we're gonna keep moving on. I'm gonna try the C range to see if we got anything there. I guess this is kind of prototyping in its simplest form. Just a bunch of range of addresses without being too specific. We got 3,000 here. Run the game for a couple seconds, make sure all of those values are unchanging. There we go. Alright, let's throw those on our queue. Adjust them all by 1,000. No effect there. And adjust them all by a gigantic amount. Oh, what did that say? The game has crashed, shoot. I did notice there was a little bit of like shading that got applied to everything. Oddly enough. Crash report. I'd like to see that crash report actually. I bet it would be a some kind of overflow. Alright, load it up again.
Damn him. Okay. Follow me.
Attaching system process. Don't keep code list. Do we want to corrupt these values again? That's a good question. Didn't crash, but we noticed an effect that happened when we corrupted it. We were just a little too dramatic with our corruptions. Let's give it one more go, just for testing's sake. We do need to, not these values, we need to run this again. $6,000 values this time, which is a lot more than we had before. Alright, 3,000 again. We were going to, I guess, take all of them, yeah, and do small adjustments. So instead of making this just F off the bat, we can do, doing this as 5. Nope, another crash. Alright. No more messing with the C range, or at least C0. Now you may be wondering, like I was, why am I not corrupting Abe's Odyssey or Abe's Exodus? arguably much better games, in my opinion. Much darker atmospheres, much better gameplay. Mechanics feel smoother and nicer, and
Follow me.
legends at their time. The reason why is they don't corrupt very well at all. Very badly, in fact. The only one that I can get to corrupt fairly decently is the Game Boy Advance version of Munch's Odyssey, and that did not feel like a real tribute to the series whatsoever. So I didn't corrupt that on stream. I'm going with this one because I had some interesting results. I'm just going through all this, sort of all this range first to make sure that I'm not missing anything, and then we're going to move back to the original 3C to 3F range and start messing around there. That's why I had the good results. I just want to test everything out first. And hopefully we'll get something interesting there. Alright, new scan. First scan. No readable memory because we're not attached to a system process. There we go. First scan. And wait a couple moments, and next scan. 255. Let's take all those values, throw them on a queue, knock them up by 1,000. And while this one works, I'm not noticing anything on screen. Knock them up even higher. We have 1,000 right now to 10,000. Still nothing. Dramatic change of that much. Nope, nothing there. For the most part, the C range doesn't seem to have any effect, at least on gameplay. It must have some kind of effect somewhere in the background, since we did run into a couple crashes, so there's some kind of checks there, but in terms of gameplay, nothing I'm seeing. Alright, we're going to the higher or upper range of the C values, and these are the last couple values here. So, we'll do a couple scans. First scan. $163, not too many. Knock it up by 100. Knock it up by a lot. Alright, nothing there. I'm just gonna move on, make it easy. New scan. And we're gonna take our last recommended value as an upward and lower bound. This one has 1,000. We'll just take all those values and throw them on our queue. Adjust them by 1,000. Nothing. And adjust them by a huge amount. And that one crashed. Whew. I should check those crash logs because I'm really curious what they are. But that would take too much time. And I think it has my name in there too. Otherwise I'd pull them up on the stream. Alright, that's actually all the range. So let's go back down to the lower end of the range and start messing around there a little bit more.
Damn it. Here we go. Follow me.
If anyone in chat hasn't played Abe's Odyssey, Abe's Exodus, Munch's Odyssey, any of those games, I highly recommend them. Fantastic games. Great world building there. Very dark, but very enjoyable. Alright, so we're going to start back on the lower end of the range, right back to 3C. And I think I'm just going to increment by, I don't even know what this value would be, but by increments of, I guess like secondary hex values, like it's not the leading one, but it's the secondary one. I need to attach the system process. Keep forgetting to do. There we go. First scan, next scan, next scan. I believe we've already tried these values, but we'll give it another go. Yeah, I don't think these had any effect. Alright, kick these out. Adjust it to 3D. New scan. First scan. Next scan. Throw these down, adjust them by 1,000. No effect. Adjust them by a dramatic amount. No effect. We're gonna go to 3E. Do scan, first scan. Next scan. And we've done 3E, that was the lighting effect and the camera effect. So let's increment this by 100. New scan, first scan. Only one, so I don't want to adjust that value. How about we search by 9? New scan, first scan. 277, that's a reasonable amount. Adjust all these by 1000. No effect. Adjust all these by a dramatic amount. No effect. Shoot. Okay. Let's see here. Only 40 found here, we'll give that a go. I had like a succession of fantastic corruptions for this, where there's screen tearing and graphic breaking and ape being disfigured. So much so that I was like, I don't even need to see anymore. It's gonna ruin my reaction if I do. I'm just gonna stream this off the bat. But unfortunately, I don't seem to be seeing too much of that. And I forget what my values were. I definitely should have wrote those down. Those down at the very least. Going back, we're gonna give another go to one of the ones that we're saving for later. So, this range here. This one had something like the 2 million, yeah. Oh, there's a crash, okay. We forgot to reset all of our values, that sometimes happens. If we don't continuously purge those, then we'll run into crashes like that. If you haven't got the idea of how finicky these PC game ones with CheatEngine can be, they can be a little finicky. I recommend, if you can do the Windows Glitch Harvester with the directory searcher and the adding the files, that method, definitely recommend that over CheatEngine. Sometimes you'll have some fantastic results with this though. Oh, I think I mentioned earlier why I didn't play Abe's Exodus and Abe's Odyssey. It was corrupted because they did not corrupt well at all. They corrupted super bad. I think, what can I even get out of them? They would have graphical glitches every once in a while, but the ones that you did have were very sparing, very rare, and not of good quality. And I would spend, like, I don't know, 25 to 30 minutes just getting one good one that I thought was decent, but even by those standards it was pretty bad. And what I planned on doing was throwing it all on a stockpile. But I just couldn't get enough. I think I had 2, and I was extremely unhappy with the 2 I had. And I was like, I'm just gonna keep going, maybe I'll find some more, and I didn't. So, at least that was mostly Abe's Odyssey. I didn't get too much testing on Abe's Exodus before I did this. In general, the Oddworld games just weren't corrupting too well at all. Alright. We're gonna do these addresses again. System process. I'm gonna move around in game a little bit, just make sure
Oh yeah.
that value changes. There we go. Alright. I'll take, I don't even know how many values these are. This many. It's not going to respond for a second, but we'll wait for it to respond since I do want to do this many values. Writing them will also be this bad, but we'll give it a go. Anyways, so that was why I didn't do Abe's Exodus or Abe's Odyssey. Yeah, it really doesn't over-respond. Alright. I gotta do much smaller ranges, I guess. Shoot. Alright, closing the program. And restarting CheatEngine. Oddworld new and tasty. And go back to this range. Okay, so not a lot of values with 3E7. Again, we could try corrupting it, but let's see what we get. Change all these to be 3E8. It's still unfortunately nothing. We're gonna return these values to 3E7. This is like the only one we had a good result with, wasn't it? Yeah, we didn't do all 4,000 values, we did them separately. You can already see the camera effects being a little bit off. Yep, and there's the lighting. Well. What else can we try here? Bunch of different scan types, but none of which I want to look at. I'm also curious if speed hack actually does anything. Nope. Can't apply that. Alright, what else can we do here? So we did 3E8. If we were to change just one value, right? We wouldn't get any results from that. 135, surprisingly. Not a whole lot of values, but some. No effect though. This one, I'm kind of just hoping to get lucky with some of these values. Ratio between value. I'll try changing those. Let's do everything between this and this -1, because I don't want this exact value. So let's do, how about that? That will probably be a lot of values, but nope, didn't do that right. New scan. Oh, we can only scan with an initial value. Unknown initial value. And then value between this and, did I get that one right? I did. So next scan. That is a lot of values. 14 million. Even more than that other range. Shoot. We can't just go 3 here and just kind of pick them, can we? Like that? No, it will not let us do that. Not responding. Alright, closing down CheatEngine. Reloading CheatEngine. While we're here, let's real quick. Oh, there's Dolphin. Don't need this little guy. Let's real quick. I want to give a try with the Windows Glitch Harvester. I want to see what files we can corrupt. And there's not a lot of windows I have set up for that, but I'm curious for the most part. There's the Glitch Harvester. Wow, that looks terrible. Look at all those windows. Overwritten and whatnot. Let's give that another go. Windows Glitch Harvester. Is it always going to look like that? That is terrible. Can we reselect it? No, it's not going to let me do that. Look how awful that looks. Jeez. Let's do this so it's at least not writing over everything. Nope, there's my WinRAR and my TechSupportSparky stockpile. Jeez. How about we... There we go. Great. Wonderful. Okay, so from here we also need new and tasty to be selected, but it can't be a game window, so we're not gonna do that. We're going to do a window capture because it's the only way it's accepted. And we're going to target new tasty, which is not an option for some reason. Now it is. Now we'll do something like that. Put it in the center there. That's good, right? Good enough. Yeah. Now all of our alerts are kind of hidden, but that's alright. There we go. Okay. So what I'm doing from here is we'll see if we can do this. Might be very terrible. I'm going to select within Windows Glitch Harvester multiple files. I didn't test this out ahead of time, so this might not even work at all. Check multiple files. I'm going to now search for those files and I'm going to add an entire directory. That directory being my Steam folder that contains this game. It needs to be a data folder. So I'm finding Steam right now. Steam apps, common, Oddworld and tasty. Oh, we have our crash reports. That's fun. I still kind of want to read those just for fun. Let's just read one. See if we can figure out what we did wrong. Steam. Steam apps. Common. New and tasty. And error.log. nnt.exe caused an access violation in module nnt. That's it. Just an access violation. Oh, it gives you a whole stack. Wow. Okay. Anyway. So the things we have available to us is nnt data, which is I think what we'd like to corrupt. That is what we'd like to corrupt. So we're going to select that. You know, we also need to figure out what kind of data we want to corrupt. So there's stuff like managed, mono, plugins, resources, and streaming assets, or the entire folder itself. How do we decide on what we want to corrupt? Well, let's look at some of these data files and figure out what they say. So, managed has stuff I don't think we want to corrupt. It has like assembly, C#, Boo language, mono security, system core. So we don't want to corrupt stuff like that. That will just prevent the game from running. Won't be that interesting. Mono has, etc. Mono 1.0 default words help generator machine.config. That doesn't sound very corruptible. I don't think we're going to mess with that either, so we're not going to mess with mono. Plugins, I don't think we have any plugins. We do. We have CSWorks, AK SoundEngine, Xinput, resources, Unity default resources, and Unity built-in extra, and streaming assets, audio, movie, and project settings. Movie is an interesting one because we do have an interest in Amatic, so we could load that every single time around if we decide to corrupt that. And audio, there's two subfolders called generated sound banks and project settings. Project settings is empty, and generated sound banks is some kind of Windows directory. Alright. I would like to start off with movies. So that's under streaming assets, movies. So I'm going to load that into the file loader. And send file to glitch, which is the glitch harvester. So all those files will now be loaded into the glitch harvester. Very similar to how we do a save state within the glitch harvester. That's what we're targeting. And that given size is gigantic. That's a lot of, well, list all the bits. It's a gigantic file size though. What we're going to do from here is normally I would do the vector engine, which you also can't see, because we're usually corrupting vector values. However, with this, we can actually rely on just the nightmare engine, I believe. I'm going to do a random blast site and a moderately high intensity. Moderately. Starting adjust is fine. So now when we blast targets, I don't think this change will be immediately apparent. I think we have to reload the game in order to check. Windows Glitch Harvester is not responding, but usually that just means it's idly working on everything in the background. And you now see within the stash issue, we actually do have an option here. So that is automatically loaded, or it's already injected. And this is movies, so even if we did load the game, I don't think we would notice anything. So let's go ahead and restart the game now. I think it needs to be a full restart. And let that load a bit. Yes! That's what I'm talking about. Already it looks fantastic. See, much better than CheatEngine. You just gotta do it right. Oh man, that's bad. Okay, we'll dial it back a notch. Well, I'm starting to hear some auditory corruption, so I'm gonna get ready to throw my headphones down on the desk. It just looks like garbage. But remember, that's just movies. We're only corrupting the movie assets, so everything else is fine. And I would really like to see the intro cinematic, so we're going to delete this middle one. Delete. And just keep reloading that one whenever I need to see the movie again. Play game. I'm gonna put a stream marker here because I think this will be hopefully very good. Difficulty, we're gonna do extra hard. And single player.
Follow me.
Alright, fingers crossed, everyone. If it loads, I hope it loads. If it doesn't, I'll be a little sad. I don't think it will. We got through the intro at least. So we're going to dial back our corruption. As you can tell from the intro cinematic, that was also a little too intense. That itself could barely load, so let's do this. Just when it loaded too. Alright. So, the way to move forward from this in terms of the Windows Glitch Harvester is I think everything is sort of backed up in the sense that if I run another corruption, it won't be on top of the existing corruption that we already have. We can check that with a very low intensity, but I've done this in the past with Jet Set Radio for the Xbox, the original Xbox, which didn't corrupt very well, by the way, unfortunately. And that seemed to be the case. So let's knock back this intensity. We'll knock it back to like 6,000, 60,000? No. 60,000. And Nightmare Engine is still fine. We're gonna clear our well, no, we can leave it there. Doesn't really matter. And blast target once again. This should be a little bit faster, hopefully. It's not responding. Now what? So that didn't seem to do anything. Oh no, it's still not responding. Alright. As I say, nothing got added to the stats history, but it unfroze. That doesn't look normal. It didn't like that at all. Not responding. There we go. Alright. It's a very robust program. It does very good for what it needs to do, I guess. But let's go ahead and load it up again. Oddworld, new and tasty. Let's see that intro cinematic. Which also just might not load. I think we got extremely lucky with the intensity that we had and what we saw. Oh no, we're loading. Alright. I must have accidentally skipped the intro.
Yeah, well,
I think these movies, like the background or the inner functions, like that let you pause it, that let you skip it, those are working fine. It's just the video itself just doesn't work. And it doesn't necessarily crash the game, it just does what you saw.
follow me.
Alright, fingers crossed on this one at least. Continue. No? Yeah, no. Because we can still hit escape and see this. And skip it. Cinematic. No cinematic. Alright. Alt F4. So what I'd like to check now is before I do something else. Now normally I would restore the backup if I'm not sure if the backup is working or not, but I want to verify that it is. So I'm going to do a very low intensity, just 100 memory writes. Blast the target with that. And we can actually open this one in the blast editor since it's fairly small. We'll see kind of what we're setting. We're setting actually values instead. We're not using the vector engine where they're only specified values and we're not allowed to adjust them. These ones we can actually adjust if we want it to be, if we want to do so. So only 100 memory writes. That's currently injected. And we can now rerun the game. And if everything for the most part works normally, we know that we don't have to reset our backup every single time we recorrupt this. And that is the case. So we can just keep corrupting the fashion that we have been, and hopefully we get lucky and see some cinematic corruptions. This one I don't think we'll see any at all. There's a very large range of movies that we are corrupting, so we might be corrupting a lot more in some than others. It should be fairly equal, but I don't have a guarantee that it is. So that's not going to be too interesting. Let's move on. We're going to, can't delete these, can we? No, the first one I like. Let's throw this one on like the stockpile. Now if I click on it, unfortunately I have the inject on select button enabled. So every time I do that, it's going to freeze up until it loads all those corruptions into the files that we have selected. I'm going to disable, I'm going to disable that. I'm saving this corruption since it was the first one that worked, and it might be the only one, unfortunately, but we'll see. We can also re-roll that, but I'm not going to do that yet. I'd like to see if we can get results in other methods, through other methods. Once again, I accidentally clicked on a save state, so that froze it up. There we go. And I'm going to now clear the history on our stash history, because we don't really need those options anymore. And we did a 60,000 byte intensity. That was a little too high. Let's do a 10,000 intensity. We're still using random blast type for the Nightmare engine. I'd like to swap that at some point. We can probably switch to tilt. And we can also try using the vector engine. I think we need to have a very high intensity for the vector values to even match up with something, and they might not even corrupt anything that's what we're looking for, but we can try it. Anyways, blast target. That's almost instantaneous. And we can now, once again, load the gamer. I don't believe I have to inject these manually, but I'll see. If this doesn't load, then it proves. Yeah, that's not gonna load. That's unfortunate. We got so lucky with that first corruption. So skipping that, trying to load this instead.
Damn. Follow me.
That's why we just have audio. We didn't have audio before, but the visuals are still broken. Just to be safe, we're gonna move
Disrupt your fire.
to tilt types, because I think they will have better results with this. So right now it's random, switching to tilt, and I think we can still increase the intensity because of that, but we're gonna blast target with just still that 10,000. This should be automatically injecting, so reload. Probably don't have to explain it every time, but I am. Now tilt types, unfortunately we still have no intro. It's not for lack of trying though. I'm gonna skip this. See if we have any better luck with the game cinematic.
Yep. Follow me.
Nope, no luck there. Alright. So. 5,000. Super small corruption. Only using tilt types. Let's give it a go. Not even the intro, man. Yeah, so lucky with that first one. Alright. What I would like to try is to re-roll our existing one. Actually, I just want to load our existing one, just to make sure that still corrupts properly. Because how did we get that lucky off the bat? Like the first one we even threw at it. So we didn't get that lucky. There's something going wrong. That's what's going on. Because this should be loading, because we've had load in the past. And now we're repeatedly getting a gray screen. Let's restore backup. So, restore backup. Backup so everything has been restored. I'm now going to inject our only good corruption. The one that's worked before, and load the game. That one just doesn't want to work anymore. Huh. Well. I don't know what to make of that. It's unfortunate is what it is. That was a good one. That just takes a while. I'm waiting for the audio, but it might be too intense for even that. Yeah.
Damn. Follow me.
And as I remember, this didn't load at all. The actual cinematic. Yep, seems to be the case. Alright. Sensitivity at 10. as a sanity check. Blast target. Verify the new stash key. Once it loads. Oh yeah, there we go. The new one has only 10 memory writes in it. Super small. Load game. Everything should load properly. This makes me question things. That should absolutely load without a problem. Is our backup corrupted? That is my question now. We tried restoring our backup, which right now, I restored the backup. This should work perfectly alright. There should be no problems here. So there is a problem here. So our backup is not a good backup, is what's going on there. Let's load up Steam. That makes sense why every corruption after that really good one was just infinitely terrible and never worked. Because our backup that it was restoring to was actually corrupted itself. So I need to go to Steam now and verify integrity of game files. So that'll take a moment to make sure that we'll clean up any corrupted files that we have. Which we might have some. We might. Maybe. I hope it finds an integrity violation. I mean, that would be awful if it didn't. I don't know what to do in that case. I probably should have deleted the files, is what I should have done. That would have been a smart decision. Yep. All files successfully validated. So that didn't work. Let's just delete them. What were we doing? Streaming assets, movies, and just delete all of those. Verify integrity of game files. Problems found, I bet. There's some like bass on a truck I can hear all the way from down the street. 22 files failed to be validated and will be reacquired. Good. Let's go make sure they're reacquired. I'll make a personal backup of them as well. Make sure we don't lose these in the future. So these are streaming assets, movies, and they haven't been reacquired yet because I need to open up Steam, I think, right? Needs to download them. Yeah, okay, it's downloading them now. 1.9 gigabytes. Is that how much we're corrupting? No. Maybe it's just re-download the whole game? Oh, I'm gonna see my bitrate drop, I bet. Yep, there it goes. Well, I'll have to wait for a sec for that. I have very good internet here, luckily. Very privileged in that sense. So, 500 megabytes down out of 2 gigs. And yeah, as soon as it's back, I'll make a personal backup of those files. I think it's the best bet. Since they are being re-downloaded, it's probably a good idea to clear the existing ones that we have in our... Well, do we necessarily have to do that? I don't know if we do. I'd like to keep the current corruption that we have, but there's not a really safe way of doing that. I can save it as a stockpile and import that stockpile, but that stockpile doesn't necessarily line up with the files that we have existing so far. I mean, yeah. Let's give that a go. I'll name it... What do we name this? New and tasty stockpile. I'll take a hot second to load because it's a lot of memory writes. Oh, don't do that. There we go. And I think that showed up on my desktop. So now I'm going to... Is this finished downloading it? Nope, not done yet. Once that's finished, we'll reselect all the files within our directory, within the Windows Glitch Harvester, to repoint it. In doing so, it will clear out the stockpile that we currently have set. I learned that the hard way with Nemo. Alright, 1.6 out of 1.9. Almost there. I think I got some trading cards for playing Oddworld. Yeah. I got 3 of them. Which just goes to show I haven't played New and Tasty that much. Play a lot of Abe's Odyssey though, that's for sure. Okay, 1.9 gigabytes is done. It's installing. It is completed. Perfect. I can close down Steam now. And I see that the files have been repopulated in my directory. I'm going to copy that folder and paste it to my desktop. I do want to look at it in the properties and see how big it is. It really is. We're corrupting 2 gigabytes worth of movies. That's a big file. Alright. From here, in Dolphin, I'm going to add a folder once again. I need to browse to my C library. Not to my C library, to my Steam library. Steam apps, common, Oddworld, New and Tasty, NFT data, streaming assets, movies. Okay. Send that file to the glitch harvester. Stockpile's been reset. Do we want to load the one corruption that we ran into trouble with after the fact? I'm going to say no. We'll load that stockpile in just a moment once we confirm that we can have continuous corruptions without issue. So, we're going to do random type again with Nightmare Engine. We're going to do an intensity of 60,000 because I think that was a good number, even though it failed to work the first time. We are going to blast the target. That has been put in the stash history. We're now going to load the game. That is unfortunate. I guess I should have done a safe check before we did anything. We will do that now. So clear history. Restore backup. Backup of RF intro. I think that's the one that we're restoring. That's proper. There's a bunch of files that list off when you restore it. One of which is RF intro. I think that's the one that we want to restore. I'm verifying now just by loading the game without any corruptions applied and a restored backup. This doesn't look right. So, did we corrupt a movie folder? Let's check that out. So right now, pulling up that directory, I'm just going to delete all the ones in that directory. I'm going to open up my local backup and copy all those files over. Okay, I've done that. I'm now going to load the game once again. No corruptions applied. What's going on? I don't want to uninstall the whole game and like check that. But I think at this point you might have to if you want to get that back. So, I create a copy. I don't know what's going on there. I deleted the folder that contained the corrupted files. I had Steam revalidate the game files were missing and re-download those specific files. Those were downloaded properly. I made a local backup of those files. I accidentally corrupted the game folder without checking if the game was running. However, I restored those files with my local backup that should have been safe, yet they weren't, because I'm still running into this trouble. I wonder if it's not the files themselves or it's some kind of other backend thing.
Hello. You go. Follow me.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But I definitely don't want to re-download it again, so let's... Or I don't want to re-download just those specific movie files again. I'm fine with re-downloading the game, like, after the stream. That doesn't matter to me. Let's do something else, though. So instead of corrupting the movie files, I'm just going to delete my local copy of that. 2 gigs is a lot. We're going to add another folder, and we're going to do sounds this time around. I wish you could type in a path. It doesn't let you type in a path. It always lets you like drop down from your C folder, and my C folder is like program files, wherever Steam is. Then you have to go to Steam apps, and then common, and then your game local directory. It's a lot of folders to go through. Alright. NNT data, streaming assets, audio. And we're just going to do the entire audio folder, which is kind of a lot of files, but I think this is okay. Send file, this to glitch. File interface failed to load something. Culprit, C programs coming up, Oddworld, new and tasty, streaming assets, audio, blah 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 blah. IO path not found. God. Oh, it's not gonna. No. Okay, so let's pick half of that thing then. Add a folder. Oh, it makes you browse it again. Shoot. This be C. C drive. Wherever we have Steam stored. Instead I had trouble with the Windows sound bank. However, project settings is I know already empty. So we have to do the Windows sound bank. Shoot. Nope, another exception. Alright, well, what else could we corrupt in the data folder? I know another thing that's available is... Let's go find it. Within NNT data, there's a bunch of levels. We can select all of those. All the shared assets, main data. Let's do all of those. Hopefully that's a little bit smoother. Since we're doing all the main levels, the main data, and all the shared assets are all being corrupted at once, which is a very large file list, but I think it's okay. You'll see the starting address, we can't even specify that anymore because of how large the file list is. We're going to do intensity, let's leave it at 60,000, that's okay with me. But we're switching to a random blast type for the Nightmare engine. Blasting target now, which will take a little bit of time since it has to parse through all those files and corrupt them. Actually, that was pretty fast. Alright, load up the game now, see if it runs alright, and we'll try to get to level 0, which I believe is just the entry level. Well, I have no cinematic, unfortunately, still, and don't know why. Game crashed. Crash report. Shoot. Alright. Knock our intensity down to... Well, I think 60,000 is still okay, but let's do 50,000 tilt types. How about that? Waiting for a new status string. Okay. Loading game. Game crash. Shoot. Alright. Restore backup. See if that works, because I want to verify that that works. Otherwise, at this point, you just have to reinstall the whole game. In case you didn't know, Windows Glitch Harvester is not only used for Wii and GameCube games, it's also used for... Wow, that's a big backup. It's also used for Windows files. You can actually harvest glitches on Windows. However, if you can see, sometimes it can be a little finicky. You should be more specific on which files you're actually looking at, like you would do, I don't know, if you're doing GTA 5, you would do specifically the car controls, or, I don't know, locomotive controls, stuff like that. So this is our backup, so this still works properly. No surprises there. I'm just going to add a file and just do level 0, and maybe level 1. Open those two up. I tried throwing a couple sound files in there too, but again, it kind of freaked out and crashed on me, so we're not going to do that at all. We're going to do... I don't know what's going on with that exception either. I'll have to submit a report for that. Project settings, input manager, PS3, PS4, standalone Windows, input manager, Windows.asset. None of those sound like anything that'd be too interesting. I would hope it'd be like motion controls, but yeah, that's not the case. Let's do level 2, 0 and 1. Do shared assets 0 and 1. And resources.assets. Yeah, just those files. Send that to the glitch. Do a corruption intensity of 20,000. Nightmare engine random type. Blast target. Load game. No intro still. I'm bummed about the intro because we had such a good one to start off with. For a second, I think, yep, it looks like you saw my desktop. Reference to my desktop, what you're gonna see is raccoon.jpg. Picture of my raccoon, or of a raccoon. Visual Studio Code, Nemo stockpile, PS1, my ROMs. Nothing too interesting. Keep me on my toes though. Alright. Need to enter to skip through this, I think. Actually, no, it should only be load. Alright. Fun stuff. Alright. How large is this file? Can we just re-download everything? Probably not. I think it's like 42 gigs. Properties. Where is that? That's only 7 gigs. Oh, I can download that in no time. So really, the movies themselves are... What is that? 2/7 of the actual game? That is amazing to me. Okay, so we're going to re-download that, because that's only... really 4 gigabytes. Because it just needs the installer too, so it's a little bit bigger. So that'll take a minute. A hot second. We'll make a perfect copy of the movies folder. If that doesn't load properly, I don't know what's wrong. If that doesn't load properly, we'll call the stream here. I'll figure some stuff out, and we'll move on some other time. One other game I've tried the Windows Glitch Harvester for, in terms of Steam PC-esque corruptions, would be Stardew Valley. I think that's about it. I haven't done this too much in terms of corrupting data files. I've also used VineCorrupt to corrupt data files, which I'm not going to say is easier, but it's a little more, it's easier to follow, I guess, than the Windows Glitch Harvester. You have to have a good background knowledge of the Windows Glitch Harvester to kind of work around it. Also, Windows Glitch Harvester throws some odd exceptions here and there that you don't expect, and you don't really have the capability to troubleshoot either. Just kind of, it works or it doesn't work. VineCorrupt kind of universally works for me, but it's a less powerful program. I have some music while we're doing this. So we're sitting here in silence. Let's do some Jet Set Classic. Oh, no, it's just gonna be all too mellow. Jet Set Radio soundtrack. I just want the original. No, that's mid-song. Put the song names, but didn't put the timestamps. How about... We can still do hum with the bass line. I would say 2 favorite series for me. Jet Set Radio, Oddworld. Both of which I have tried tirelessly to corrupt. Probably Jet Set Radio. I either play the classic one, which is for the Dreamcast, and I have not had experience corrupting for the Dreamcast. It's probably a little too loud. The problem with corrupting for the Dreamcast is I have to set up the Dreamcast, which I haven't really had a lot of experience setting it up either. I think I use... I don't remember the name of the program. Dreamcast emulators. And I need to use a name loader, because even though I'd love to play on original hardware, I can't. Not with corruptions. Recast is the one I'm thinking of. So I need Recast. Set up that old fiasco. I need to go find the old Dreamcast so I can pull the BIOS off it. BIOS. Because you have to have a legal copy of it. And I need to go find my old copy of Jet Set Radio, which I know I have somewhere. But I need to rip that as well. And I need to find a way that I can even corrupt it. So I don't even know if it will corrupt after all that work. So, a couple too many steps. Jet Set Radio Future for the Xbox. I was able to corrupt in a very small sense. So the only things I could corrupt were the title screen. For example, the Graffiti Soul, where's the Future Soul? I think Future Soul. The vectors on that were corrupting, so very stretchies here and there, but it's only on like that title screen, really only on the Future Soul. And a couple sound corruptions, like auditory ones, and they were very minor. Like the song would play for a couple seconds, it would skip, and then it would just crash and die. The game would still run, but just no audio would play. In terms of music or anything like that. I think we still had skate sounds, but that was about it. And no matter how much I corrupted it, no matter how high the intensity was, those are the only two things that would corrupt. I couldn't do models, couldn't do graphics or textures, I couldn't do any other sound effects other than the music itself. I was kind of stuck there. The game is halfway there. So that's Jet Set Radio. Couldn't corrupt those. I already mentioned Oddworld. I wasn't able to do Exodus or Odyssey. Stranger's Wrath is another one I can try, so that's another PC release, that's a possibility. That might corrupt better than New and Tasty, to be honest. And I should give that a go. Munch's Odyssey, there's not a working version. There's the Steam release, I could try the Steam one. That was the one I played as a kid, and the one that introduced me to the Oddworld series. It's not a favorite one among the community. Lurk, what's going on? See, how you doing? We're doing some CheatEngine corruptions for Oddworld New and Tasty, and it's kind of sluggish. It's a little slow, so I apologize about that. But thank you for the lurk. I appreciate it. Back to Oddworld. So, Munch's Odyssey was the one I started with, and we could try corrupting that, but it's not a favorite in the series, and I don't think it would corrupt too well. And I can't do the Xbox version because that's currently not working if you use CXBX Reloaded. Again, I would also need a BIOS for that. I don't have experience pulling an Xbox BIOS. Okay. So we're re-downloading New and Tasty since we very heavily corrupted the game without having a perfect backup of everything. Or something crashed that just wasn't supposed to crash. I wasn't sure what was going on there. But that's re-downloading 3.8 out of 4.7 the other day. We got some Jet Set Classic on the radio. What I should be doing, I'm in school right now, in college, and I'm supposed to be learning two programming languages at the same time, Scala and C++. I'm having trouble with C++, only because I'm trying to go heavy in Scala right now, which is very Java-based. It's almost an extension of Java, which is probably a generalization. For the most part, people might get angry about that, but to me it seems like mostly an extension. And there's a C++ I've been having trouble for quite a while. There's an optimized class that teaches about optimizing your code to run better. That's Teton. I can't English tonight. It's taught by a professor who says you don't need to know C++ going into the class, and you can learn it while you're learning the optimization. It's definitely not the case. He expects, off the bat that you have a pretty good idea of C++ before you start learning the optimization stuff. So, right now I'm taking a prerequisite class to learn a little bit C++ before I go to the optimization one. We'll see how that goes. That's about all I'm taking. I'm also taking a intro to information systems class, which is alright. Alright, game is finished downloading. First thing I'm going to do is open that in my local directory. And I'm going to back up the movie folder, because we know it's a perfect copy right now. no corruptions whatsoever been applied to it. So I'm gonna take that and put it like on my desktop or something like that. Alright, those are all copied. Okay, so now we see if the game will just even run whatsoever. The cinematics at least. So I'm going to create a shortcut for it on my desktop since I can quickly access it. We'll go ahead and pause Jet Set there. I gotta find that shortcut, there it is. Alright, and loading the game. This should work, so all the cinematics should work perfectly. This is a brand new, fresh install. Shouldn't have any problems. If there are any problems, I think I'm gonna blame it on OBS. And the game does load properly, so we see this. Cinematics perfectly alright. Nothing looks corrupted. Knock on wood, jinx. All that lot. Yep, perfect. So that's all good to go. And just to verify, for complete sake,
Yellow.
we should also see this intro cinematic.
Yep.
After all this.
Okay. Follow me.
Continue. And perfect. Alright, good to go there. So, let's start corrupting it. I'm going to clear my history. I'm going to target this within the Windows Glitch Harvester, which works either by adding specific files or adding entire directories. I'm just going to add specific files in this case because I want to take a look at exactly what I'm adding in this sense. I'm going to streaming assets, go into movies, and I'm making sure everything in this folder has a .bk2 file extension. So I think, yeah, those are the only ones I want to corrupt. I could also just corrupt, how would you say, just the specific files we're looking at. So like RF intro, Abe Moon is one of the intros, logo is an intro. Yeah, I don't know, some of these are kind of not some generic names though, so let's select all these. They're all BK2 file extensions, so I don't think we have to worry about that as much. Where it's some kind of like, maybe they threw in a master copy there that was corrupting. Send those files to the glitch harvester. I'm going to reset backup. So this resets the backup of the current target by using the current data from it. If you override a clean backup using a corrupted file, you won't be able to restore the original file using it. Are you sure you want to reset the current backup's target? Yes. Are you sure you want to reset the backup using the target files? Yes. So now our backup is absolutely that clean folder that we verified works. Or if we load it right now, it will work. So nothing to worry about there. So now we're going to use, I'm going to try the vector engine since we haven't given that a go. I don't expect this to work at all, and I don't expect to see any kind of glitching, but we'll give it a try. Okay, blasting the target with 50,000 with the vector engine, extended limiter plus and extended value list plus. I believe I hit blast target. I have to hit it again. Stash history is not populating with this, so I'll just be taking a moment here. No, actually, so that's not populating at all, and I'm not sure why that's the case. That's alright, we can switch back to the Nightmare engine, blast target with there, random data type, still keep it on 50,000, I don't think that'll be an issue. And that worked just fine. I'm not going to open this in the blast editor, even though I want to take a look at what's going on there, but that's alright. So that's selected. Now when we load the game, we should see proper corruptions. Or gray screen. If gray screen, we quit the stream. It's gray screen. Shoot. So I think we're just doing too high of an intensity. That's all it can be. So technically, the cinematic is corrupted. You can hear it in the background. This must be sort of default when the game doesn't load, or the cinematic doesn't load. We are corrupting the intro cinematic and this secondary cinematic independently of each other. In the sense that they're different files, they're just corrupted different ways. But I don't think either of them will load. Yeah, but still nothing's loading. I'm gonna Alt F4. I'm going to restore the backup and verify, at the very least, we don't get a gray screen anymore. If we don't, that's fantastic. we do get a gray screen. So that is where we're gonna call the stream then, because I don't know what's going on with this. From my belief, we have a perfect copy. Everything worked just alright. We restored everything, reinstalled the game, and everything looked perfect. We throw one corruption at it, and all of a sudden, even our backups break, or even there's something else going on with like corrupting those movies, that some other function or some other file also gets corrupted in the process of that, and we can't restore that backup. It's only the backup of the movie files that we have backed up already. So I don't know what's going on there. Unfortunately, I don't think we can corrupt it any further because of that. We can't select any of the other files, or we can't really mess around with them as much. I didn't have too much luck with that. We only really had the one good corruption with the cinematic, and that was about it. That sometimes happens. So we've had 2 games that haven't corrupted too well: Pokemon Coliseum and New and Tasty. Yeah. Oh well. Next up, though, I don't have a game for tomorrow. I should have a game for tomorrow. But what we are gonna do is pull up more music. I still like the upbeat stuff. Let's do... Can't think of something now. If you're not familiar, there's JetSetRadio.live, which is a website that streams audio. Kind of. Fake streams.
The radio show that your parents, the PTA, and the FBI don't want you to hear. Jet Set Radio!
Kind of. The way it works is it just plays audio, and you can still skip through it, but it's audio from the games or similar bands and beats and stuff like that. So we're gonna play this while we're looking for a new someone to host.
Listen to the music and identify the beats.
Yeah, let's check out the streamer today. Oh, Twitch, don't do that. Oh man, so much. I apologize. Normally I have it automated. Alright, I got someone to host here, so we'll go and swap over to them. But yeah, thank you for everyone who's able to stop by. Most likely streaming tomorrow. Not sure what I'm streaming yet, though. This is kind of a one-off. We'll probably be going back to real-time corruptions or the Windows Glitch Harvester in the normal sense starting tomorrow. So, have a good one, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.